Class, today we're going to begin our study of dividing fractions. So in your math notebook on the next clean page, please record that term dividing fractions on the top of your next clean page. So dividing fractions. So let's begin with a fraction division problem. Okay, this is going to look different than some of the problems we've done before. So here we have 1/10 divided by 3. So each of these is 1/10, and we're going to call each of these tenths our units of this math problem. So remember, in division, the answer is what one unit gets. So if I have 9 apples and I have 3 people, the answer is how many apples does one person get? In this case, the answer is how much does 1/10 get? Bear with me. We'll do a few of these problems and it will begin to make more sense if it seems a little confusing. So I'm going to use a different color here to divide these up, and I'm going to divide my my tenths up into 3. So I'm going to divide that up into 1, 2, and 3. So now each of my tenths is divided into 3. The answer here is what does one person get, or one fraction get? So notice that's I've divided up my 1/10 into 3. And the answer is what does one of them get? So here I have 1. I've highlighted 1 here. And that's 1 out of how many? How many are there all together? Now I could count, of course, I could count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to take forever. But I'm just going to count. I'm just going to know that I have 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's going to be 30. So it's 1 out of 30. So 1/10 divided by 3 is 1/30. Now 1/30th. All right. Next up, let's try this with our next one. So we chop each tenth into 3, and then we count one of those, or one piece of that. 1/2 divided by 3. So a similar problem. So go ahead and draw this in your math notebook. Again, you've got this rectangle here. This one I've made it 3 tall and 6 wide, and then I've divided that in half to show halves. So this would be a half here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to chop up my half into 3. 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead and do the same thing in your math notebook. Pause if you need to. And then I'm going to go ahead and shade in how much does one of these get. So I'm going to shade in one piece here. And so I have 1 shaded in. And that's out of how many? 1 out of, how many are there all together? 1 out of 6 altogether. That's 1/6. 1/2 divided by 3 is 1/6. All right, we are going to do just a couple more of these together. Now this one, why don't you go ahead and draw this first in your math notebook. Pause if you need to. Notice I've made it 8 tall in this case. 2 wide, so I can easily divide it in 2. So this is 1/2. This right here would represent 1/2. So go ahead and draw that in your math notebook, a shape similar to this. And try dividing this half into 8. So again, those lines would go this way this time. Divide it into 8. Color in one of the squares. And see if you can figure out 1 out of how many all together. And that will be your answer. Pause now and go ahead and try to solve that on your own first. And when you're done, go ahead and unpause the video and I'll work through it and we'll see how you did. All right. I'm going to go ahead and solve it. I'm assuming you've already tried solving it on your own. And I'm going to work through it now as well. So chopping my 1/2 into 8ths, or into 8 pieces. There we go. And I'm going to just take what one of them gets. And it's 1 out of how many? 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, or I could just say 2 times 8, I suppose. 1 out of 16, that's 1/16. All right, we'll try another one of these. 1/5 divided by 6. So again, you're going to be starting by dividing. So here I have a rectangle that I've made 5 wide and 6 tall. I've divided up into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first thing you'll do is you will chop it into 6 and see what one of those is. What's the fraction? So go ahead and do that on your own in your own math notebook and see if you can find the answer. And then unpause when you're done, and we'll see how you did. All right, I'm going to proceed with this, and you've already answered it. What answer did you get? Let's see if it's the same as mine. So I'll begin by dividing it up into 6. In this case, it is 1. So I'm going to highlight 1 out of how many? 1 out of, let's see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 is 30. 1/30. All right, that is dividing fractions. We're just dividing with models for now. So I'd like you to go ahead and get started on this work. We're going to do some follow-up in IXL. Have fun with this, and do let me know if you have any questions.